Welcome back, Mother Munchers, to another episode of Married with Munchies and Movies. I'm your host, Gabe.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we're here for another dinner and a movie date.
Yeah, we are. This week, we made a Brazilian bean and meat stew.
That's
also
right.
called...
It's called a Feijoada. For the month of February, we're going to highlight a few Brazilian-inspired dishes.
Yes.
So this is how we made our first dish. This is Feijoada.
All right, overnight you're going to soak 20 ounces of black beans and 1 pound of carne seca or plain beef jerky.
The next day, you're going to add to a pot the drained beans and 1 ham hock, and then 4 cloves of garlic and 6 cups of beef or chicken stock.
Go ahead and let it all simmer.
And you're going to cut up a half a pound of smoked sausage.
And on a skillet, go ahead and brown that sausage. Make sure you get both sides.
Then you're also going to brown half a pound of ground chorizo sausage.
You can use the same skillet and just save on dishes.
Then to the stew, you're going to add the browned meats and a pound of cooked pork shoulder.
Then on the same skillet, let's go ahead and saute 1 large onion and scoop 2 cups of the stew to mash with the sauteed onions just to add a little thickness to that stew.
Then you're going to mix it back into the stew, simmer, serve, and enjoy.
Let's get back to the show.
All right. To go along with that delicious stew, we watched Rio.
We did 20th Century Fox's animated movie about a blue macaw, I believe he is.
Yes, it is. His name is actually Blue.
Right.
The movie came out in 2011, and it's like you said about this macaw who was like a pet store bird and like grew up.
Was, from what I understand, he was born in Brazil, right? And then he was taken by the illegal pet trade and somehow ended up in fucking Minnesota, of all places.
Because he fell out of the back of the truck. The truck slid on ice and the trunk came open and it just slipped out. And then this lady like found him and spoiled him and loved him.
Raised him like a fucking nerd.
Like a little cat or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But
and
then he goes back to Brazil where like the real animals are.
Yes.
And it's just made clear how much of a bitch he is throughout the movie.
Pretty much.
It's like, you're a bitch. Here's why. And then by reason number 80, I think eventually he learns how to fly.
Yeah, he didn't know how to fly. They try to like hook him up with the blue macaw female to like save the species.
That's right.
And like...
She didn't want any of that weak shit.
No, she did not.
But it's a cute movie.
It is.
It's entertaining. Animated movies, and you know, I watch them because we have kids, but
yeah,
it's not necessarily my go-to.
It's a good like family or children's movie.
That's fair.
For like all ages of kids, really.
Yeah.
It's a cute movie. I like the little side characters.
There's a lot of like really strong voice actors that do voices in this. I mean, there's Jesse Eisenberg as Blue.
Yes.
George Lopez is there.
Anne Hathaway is Jewel, the lady
That's
macaw.
Right.
The female bird.
The lady macaw. No, there's more. I believe Jamie Foxx is in this.
Yeah, Will.i.am.
Will.i.am. Wanda Sykes.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of very well-known people that lent their voices to this.
Yes.
Well animated.
And the soundtrack.
I think the animation is probably at the peak of like when it was bearable for me.
Yeah, before it got
There's
to like...
some animation now that I'm not a fan of the style of it anymore.
Yeah.
It just seems like they go out of the way to like make it look like bad drawing sometimes.
Either way.
But
this movie
was not like that. This was good.
Right. The animation was good. The soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. Yeah. Like that song that plays in the beginning, makes me want to dance and get stuck in my head.
Doesn't make me want to do that, but you know. But no, it follows the story. It takes part, I believe, in February as well in the movie because it's Carnaval in Brazil.
Yeah.
So, which is when, as a young boy, I was pretty much able to like see naked women on the TV.
Yeah,
they're just like, I'm just gonna paint my tits and go on TV, and they're like, that's fine.
There was a scene where the lady who owns Blue is like in Brazil and she's very Minnesotan, like she knows nothing about it, and they're driving through and it's Carnaval, and
Pasty bitch.
this like lady walks by and very little, and the guy that's with her is like, hey, that's my dentist.
That's kind of
And
what
she's
it
like, oh,
is.
hey, how are your
Yeah.
teeth? You're still flossing?
Especially, I mean, that's what it used to be. I don't know if I'm assuming it's still a giant party.
Oh, yeah. It's
But,
gotta
you
be.
know, I haven't been there in almost 2 fucking decades. So, it's been a while.
Let's try some of this.
But yeah, going along with that, our
see if it-
feijoada. And I said American feijoada because the cuts of meat that we ended up putting here, we try to make it easy for everyone to be able to kind of go to the grocery store and find. Obviously, you can go way more traditional with traditional cuts of like pork and beef in there, but generally nothing too crazy. I don't think the ham was something that I would have put in it originally.
But it
And
tastes good, I
bacon's
bet.
not really Brazilian.
Is there bacon in it?
They use like pork belly and stuff. Looks fucking good. Ready?
fuckers.
Cheers, fucker. That's fucking good. It's
Yum. So good.
yeah, we legit
good.
just put beef jerky as one of the cuts in there, and I didn't think it was gonna work. It hydrates it back just enough.
So where it's not like tough. It's still
It's not
very
tough.
tender and
It's not chewy at all. Dude, there are some places in Brazil that they'll put like cow tongue and all sorts of shit in
Yeah.
this. But
So maybe we'll
once
have
it's
to make-
cooked, it's delicious.
we might have to make it again one day and try a different recipe with different cuts of meat. Ah,
1 year from now, next February. It's only allowed in February.
stay tuned. Soaking the black beans overnight is really just key.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
It makes it so much better.
Listen, and I've heard of ways that people, they're like, oh, you can put it in a pressure cooker. You can bypass some of that. I was like, you can, sure.
Not the
Like
same,
it will
though.
cook, but it's like the flavors are just not mixed as well, I feel.
Yeah.
The slow soaking, again, I think breaks down that bean somehow just a little bit before you start cooking it.
Yeah, it's enough that it's not like a crunchy bean, but
it's
it's not
like-
so soft that it's just turning into.
Well, also
Taste.
like it's not as runny, and you can. Some people like the beans like super runny. I like it a slightly thicker consistency
Yeah.
to the bean juice, if you will.
Yes, I prefer the thicker consistency because I'd rather just get the meat and the beans than,
Hey,
than a bunch of juice.
I'll give you the meat and beans.
Meat and beans. This is
That's
terrible.
for later. Anyway.
That's a different video show, guys.
Yeah. Now I guess our ratings of the date overall.
Yeah.
So let's do the separate ones
That means I gotta
first.
stop eating.
Do you want to go movie first this time around?
Yeah.
So for Rio, for me, and it's a movie that now I've seen over at least the past 10 years, a lot of times, and it's still enjoyable. There's some cartoons that after 1 or 2 watches, you're just like, no, kid, you're not playing that again. But I'd
can go
say
watch that
it's an
anyway.
8.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't blow my mind, but maybe 8.5 because it's kind of cool that it has like some references to like the culture I grew up in.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, I think an 8 is a pretty good rating for Rio.
I agree with that. I'll stick with the 8 too, because like it's enjoyable for me to watch. Like I can watch it with the kids. I can watch it whenever, you know.
I'll go
But-
8.2.
But like if it's just me and you are hanging out after all the kids are in bed,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be my go-to.
No, well, not many animated movies I think will be our
True.
go-to. And then as far as the feijoada, traditionally, fucking like 9.5. I'm always game for. I love rice and beans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
What I
serving.
grew
You could
up
also
on.
serve this over rice.
you
We
can
didn't
serve
do that
this
here.
over rice. We just did the feijoada. But I think because for me, being Brazilian and kind of being like expecting it to taste like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like the different, the beef jerky and stuff, they do add a different taste to it, slightly sweeter. I'll go with 9 instead of 9.5.
Okay.
But yeah, no, solid work, and it's something that I feel like will kind of not make this intimidating for a lot of people that are like, I don't
Yeah.
want to try that cultural shit. It's like, nah, it's a black bean soup. That's what it is. But
As a pasty white girl,
yeah,
I will
as
rate
the
this.
resident cracker.
as the resident white girl, I'm giving it the 9.5
Okay.
because in my mind, like, it only needs a little bit to make it a 10, and that little bit probably would be like adding those
The
different types of meats.
and stuff. Yeah.
But like you said, it's easy, it's simple. Like you can make
But
it
is
with what you can
something
find at like
that you can find.
a grocery store down the road.
Walmart, Target,
Food
whatever,
Lion,
Food Lion,
wherever.
ShopRite. I don't know what brand of.
Winn-Dixie, if that's still a thing. The Piggly Wiggly, whatever. Didn't want to leave anybody out there.
One other thing that I would add, farofa. You
Mm.
kind of have to have it. We didn't, which is just, I don't know, it's a flour
It
that
sounds
you kind of
gross, but it's so good.
you eat with like either the meats or like your beans and stuff. You can mix it in.
It's like a seasoned cooked flour powder. I probably shouldn't sit here doing this.
I mean, that looks kind of nice.
This cooked flour powder that you like dip
Yeah.
steaks in, or like beans, or
It's kind of like you use it like a condiment.
Yeah,
almost,
yeah.
It's delicious.
it sounds gross when you say flour powder.
That
but
would
it's-
have made it like a 9.5 for me probably.
Yeah. I like that it has variations. Like you can eat it like this. You can
We can do like a soup.
make it more soupy. You can serve it over rice,
Yeah,
which is amazing too every time.
that's right. In Brazil, I mean, they start making this. A lot of people, at least in the neighborhood I grew up in, when they were making this was Sundays.
Okay.
So like Brazil being a pretty heavy Catholic
Yeah.
Christian country, like Sunday they would go to mass, but they would leave this cooking in the morning. Mm-hmm. So when they got back home, it was just let's eat. A lot of people watch soccer. I did not.
Yeah, that's one thing. It being an easy recipe and like simple to do, make sure you have time because you got to soak the beans overnight.
You do. It's
And
time consuming.
It can take like hours just to cook.
Yeah,
It's not.
for sure.
Doesn't require effort.
And
but
you
just
don't wanna cook
start it
it-
on like at like 6 p.m. waiting for dinner. You know?
Right. As with anything, it's not. You don't want to cook it at a higher heat than you really need to. Mm-hmm. You much rather lower heat, cook it for longer.
Low and slow, baby. Low and slow.
But I would say set realistically like 3-4 hours aside
For the cooking part, yeah.
to make it really good. Plus the overnight soak. So overall, the date I think for me with a 9 and an 8 would be like an 8.5.
Yeah, I'll take it.
We had a pretty good date for the first one in February. So yeah.
Like Valentine's Day's coming up though.
Valentine's Day is coming up. I wonder what nonsense I'll be watching. We'll tune in and find out, Mother Munchers. We'll see you on the next one.
See you
Peace.
next week.